All right, InsideHilltopperSports.com, podcast, Zoomcast, all casts. We're back, coming off the bye week. Yeah, we're excited, man. Western Kentucky's back in action against Middle Tennessee. Obviously, a big rivalry game. Both teams are winless, looking to get their first win of the season. Definitely a lot on the line. And, teams, you 2-3 games in the season, you want that first win. I think they're obviously a rivalry game. You're going to see some hot tempers boil over and all that stuff. So should be exciting. But before we get into that, we'll talk about Conference USA as a whole and our residential Conference USA expert, Noah McGhee. Uh, what was your takeaways from Conference USA? I mean, I guess my first one would be Middle Tennessee looks a little bit better. They lost a close one to UTSA, but overall, your thoughts on Conference USA this weekend, Noah?
Yeah, so South Alabama took on UAB Thursday night. I know Tyler was watching that one. I saw from his Twitter. I was watching Miami, Jacksonville instead. Either way, Thursday night football was not fun in terms of the competitiveness in college and the NFL. So UAB had a pretty solid night against South Alabama. I mean, as we talked about, they're a solid team. They're not great just in terms of talent, but UAB handled them soundly, especially with Spencer Brown and Austin Watkins, two of the best skill players since VSA had a fantastic games. And I just talked about Friday night, in my opinion, MTSU's final chance to grab a win for the 2020 season went like that as Asher Hart's 2-point conversion pass bounced out of Markel Tinsley's hands. So it looks like they might be headed towards the 0-10 territory this year, however many games they're playing. But with the UTSA's win, this officially puts them in first place in the CUSA West. They control their destiny to this day right now. So, yeah, UAB better watch out because the Roadrunners 3-0 for the first time, and I forgot how many years. It's been a really long time.
I'm going to chime in, Noah. I'm pretty sure last week you said you were bugging on Casey because he said
Yeah.
UTSA. But
I,
Hey, man.
he said something positive about UTSA, and then Noah, you said, yeah, that's the only win they're going to get the rest of the season was against Middle.
I did. That's what I was going to say. Yes, this is also UTSA's last win that they will get for this season. So,
Frank Harris is hurt though. That's not
I'm
good.
patting them on the back right now. Congratulations, UTSA, for you get to have the banner that you're in first place through week 4 of the 2020 season. It only took a global pandemic to do it, but congratulations. And Liberty, obviously, Malik Willis, man, what a freaking cheat code that guy is. 370 total yards and 2 scores. He had a huge 60-yard run where he just bouncing off tacklers. I don't know. People just can't tackle this guy. It's insane. So they ended up handling Florida International down to the wire. And that was FIU's opener. I was actually kind of impressed with how they ran the ball. Then you go to Southern Miss officially is hitting the panic button. They're up 14-0 in the first quarter, and then you get outscored 66-10 the rest of the way by Tulane. The second time they've beaten them this year, they met in the Armed Forces Bowl back in January and beat them pretty soundly too. So, yeah, Southern Miss obviously struggling right now really bad, and then UTEP just dispatched UL Monroe. But I guess looking forward to this week, I guess I'm going to take a moment of silence because Louisiana Tech has to play BYU this week. So I'm going to go ahead and take a moment of silence for
BYU's good.
Yeah, BYU is really good defensively, and they run the football really well. So Louisiana Tech's got their hands full this week. And then obviously, as we talked about, we go ahead and get right into it, 100 miles of hate this weekend, 0-2 versus 0-3. Somebody's got to come out with the W this week.
Someone's O has got to go. That's for sure. Casey, any takeaways on your end from Conference USA action this past week?
Yeah, totally. So first of all, kudos to y'all for telling me I was right about UTSA. Another good win, 3-0. I like to see that, but I'm not going to brag on that Texas team this week. I'm going to brag on another Texas team, UTEP. Pretty solid win over UL Monroe. I mean, granted, it is UL Monroe, but they got the job done, 31-6. They moved to 3-1 on the season. I just love the dominant stats I see from them. In a game like that against UL Monroe, you got to dominate, and that's what they did. 40 minutes time possession, just about 11 of 17 on third down conversions, 504 total yards. And I really, really like this true freshman running back, Deion Hankins. I mean, he had another great game, 22 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's looking like he might be on his way to a Newcomer of the Year award in the Conference USA. So look out for that guy. And then sophomore Gavin Hardison, he had 302 total yards. Really liked what I saw from UTEP in that game, 31-6 victory. So I'll go ahead and shout them out a little bit. And then Houston Baptist taking on Louisiana Tech. Noah touched on that a little bit. 66 points for Louisiana Tech. That's a pretty impressive stat for them offensively. They moved to 2-0. Luke Anthony, he had 314 yards, 5 touchdowns on only 17 completions. So getting that deep ball up there early and often. I like to see that from Louisiana Tech. And then Wayne Toussaint, he had 3 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thought that was pretty impressive. So that Louisiana Tech offense, I think, looked pretty good as well over Houston Baptist. Granted, a team, you're supposed to put 66 up on, but some good stuff there in that game. They had 536 total yards. So this past weekend, Louisiana Tech and UTEP got my attention.
All right, Tyler, we'll throw it to you. Thoughts on the weekend it was in Conference USA?
Casey mentioned UTEP right there. I saw a tweet from Brett McMurphy, I think it was the other night or so. They're 3-1 this season after going 2-34 the past 3 years. That's crazy. I mean, granted, they've had a couple of FCS wins there, but hey, that's a Yellow and Road team from the Sun Belt. That's a pretty solid team every year. So good for them. And my team, though, I've been talking highly about UAB. Just because running back Spencer Brown, which somehow he was not on our – yes, he was. Somehow he was on our ballot today for Player of the Week. I voted for him. He didn't win. Somehow the dude had like 4 touchdowns and didn't get Player of the Week, which blows my mind. But besides the point, UAB is a good team. They were so fun to watch. I think they'll have a great year throughout the year. I think Washington's got their hands full. They go to Birmingham here in a couple of weeks. That's the team I've been talking highly about. Did Marshall play this past week?
No.
They off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think so. I didn't see anything from them either, but still then I think they're still – is that Noah?
Yeah, I think they were postponed. I think
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
They were off. Yeah, I think they got postponed this week for Rice. That's what it is.
That's it. Yeah, Sean, like I said, UAB probably the one team I was impressed with. I watched that entire game against South Al. Their brand new stadium. That's a cool place to watch a game at from Mobile. Good for them.
Yeah, you mentioned Rice. I don't think Rice is going to be playing a game this year. So, everybody that has Rice on their schedule, that's going to be canceled. So, look for replacements, everybody. But, yeah, good stuff around Conference USA. It's always fun to talk about other teams in the league, and hopefully people that kind of listen to this podcast or listen to the Zoomcast, watch the Zoomcast, listen to our podcast, kind of gets to know a little bit more about these teams and a little bit familiar with them whenever Western plays them and everything. But we obviously mentioned Middle Tennessee, and that's Western's next opponents. Really, we've kind of been bagging on them the first couple of weeks, but, I mean, they had a pretty good game against UTSA. They came up short, but really super exciting game. I'm thinking they had 563 yards of total offense in that 37-35 loss. We're in it at the end. I will throw it to you first, Tyler. What are your impressions of Middle Tennessee now? I know they're 0-3, but obviously they look better in the last game, at least offensively. What do you think about Middle Tennessee and Western going into this game?
Yeah, I think they're improving. Coach Hilton said today he watched that whole game and watched them film this morning too, and said that he can tell they're making strides in the right direction. He said, I think for the first 3 weeks of the season, the first 2 weeks they were struggling offensively. Army obviously killed them there. But he said this past week that was a game they could have won. He said Asher O'Hara, their quarterback, did a great job. He said he's a guy that, of course, if he thinks he's getting better, which hurts Western because now this week, after a good game last week, he'll be ready to play this week. So he said Western's defense has to be ready for him because he might come out and throw for 500 yards and get a win for MTSU, and that's what Western does not want to happen. But just seeing MTSU, what they've done so far, I don't think they're a good team by any means right now. I think they are improving. Of course, it's a rivalry game for a reason. They're at home. Both teams looking for that first win. So obviously, there's a lot to play for. Coach Helton said there's a ton to play for, and then you throw a rivalry on top of it. So it's just it's a big week, a big game, a big opportunity. I think Middle and Western, I wouldn't say even right now. I think Western's obviously better overall, but just to be both teams winless coming for a win in a rivalry game, I think it's the perfect medium this week.
No, I'll flip it to you. Just kind of your thoughts on Middle Tennessee and maybe, just kind of who some of their key players are and things like that Western probably needs to keep an eye on.
So I actually wrote I think MTSU is the worst team in Division I. I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I wrote this week. I think they're the worst team in Division One.
I'm gonna chime in here. I really hope that I don't know if this is an option and I need to upgrade, but whenever you do these fire takes, I really hope we could put like a fire emoji in front of your face.
Right, man.
That would be really cool. But anyway, carry on, Noah.
Yeah, I mean, the one guy I think that there is a guy that I like that plays for MTSU a lot. Now that I know a lot of scouts like him too, coming up for the draft. Reed Blankenship, the free safety for MTSU. He's a guy. He's a solid tackler in the open field, but is really rangy. He's got good ball skills. So I think this week, we talk about Tyrell Pigram hasn't thrown an interception yet. One of the few quarterbacks left in the FBS who has 4 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns and no picks. So I think they're going to have to beware Blankenship this week. I think this would be the kind of week where he could become a game wrecker in terms of sitting in the middle seams of the field, in between the hashes, and just waiting to be that ball hawk over the middle. So I think that's one guy Western needs to watch out for. And I look at the rushing stats for MTSU, and they don't have a true lead back, but they might have found one the other night that they can go with going forward. J.V. McDonald, he had 7 carries for 76 yards against UTSA. He's got 13 for 100 on the year, averaging about 7 yards a pop. So I think that's another guy that Western's going to have to slow down. And then obviously Asher O'Hara is going to be the guy that touches – he's going to touch the ball, a lot in terms of, obviously throwing it, but they're going to get him a lot of designed runs like they did last year. So those would be my 3 guys that Western needs to watch out for this weekend.
All right, Casey, I'll throw it over to you. Just kind of the same question. What do you kind of see from this Middle Tennessee team, and maybe talk about some players that have kind of caught your eye on Middle Tennessee that you think Western fans should be taking note of and everything like that?
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, I think this game is pretty much just wide open. Last year when these two teams played, it was really close. It was 31-26 was the final score in favor of WKU. WKU comes into this game favored by 6. It opened up at 7, so already getting bet down a little bit. Both teams' quarterbacks lead in rushing. So if that tells you anything, it tells you that both teams are still trying to find their identity offensively. I don't know really why that's to be the case for WKU with Gage Walker back there, but they're still not finding that rushing game. So MTSU definitely still trying to find that rushing game as well. MTSU's last win was November 23rd of last year. So they're very hungry for a win. They'll definitely throw all they got at WKU. And actually the week after that win was when WKU and MTSU went head-to-head last year. So it's been quite some time for MTSU since they've got a win. Just looking at their 2020 schedule so far, getting shut out against Army, then getting it laid on them again against Troy at home, and then UTSA, of course, last week. They've allowed 126 total points so far this year. So that defense can definitely be taken advantage of. I fully expect Tyrell Pigram to come out and throw more deep balls this game. I definitely want to see what he's got there. But offensively for MTSU, they really don't have many playmakers that have stood out so far. Jaron Pierce, he has 22 catches for 221 yards. No touchdowns, though. Other than that, no receivers have over 100 yards. So they're still trying to figure out who's catching the ball there other than Pierce. No running backs with more than 20 carries other than, quarterback O'Hara. So still trying to find a running back. Like Noah mentioned, they had one stand out last week, so they'll be looking for that still. And then other than Pierce, no wide receivers with more than 10 catches. So, I mean, this is very much an MTSU team that's still trying to find their offensive identity, just as WKU is. So I fully expect this to kind of be an ugly first half, starting out maybe a very low-scoring first half, maybe some crazy stuff happened in the second half. But we just got to look at this series overall. I mean, it's really, really close. Middle Tennessee State leads right now 34-33-1. So WKU is looking to knot this series up after this game. It'll be really fun to see how WKU tries to take advantage of them in that aspect. WKU's won 4 of their last 5. And if they get the win this year, the last time WKU won 5 of the last 6 meetings was 1975 through 1980. So it would be really cool for the Hilltoppers to come out and get their 5th win in the last 6 and keep that streak going and say, hey, we're the dogs in this series.
Yeah, good stuff there. I know I'm going to go back because I always like poking fun at Noah just because he's wearing his Western hat. But look, Noah's wearing a Western hat. Casey's wearing a Western hat. Tyler's got a Western banner in the background. But when Noah throws some shade at Middle Tennessee and says they're going to go winless and they are the worst team in college football with a Western Kentucky hat, Middle Tennessee fans are probably going to – you need to hit Noah up on Twitter, whatever his Twitter handle is. I forgot. What is it, Tyler?
And I've been verbal in terms of that. I'm not emotionally attached to
at Noah MCGA.
I have the hat, and it's nice. And I actually didn't get to shower after I got home from the gym, so that's one reason why I'm wearing it. So,
Oh boy, there
yeah,
you go.
yeah, there's that. That's just me being honest. If it was Western, I would be like, yeah, Western's the worst team in Division One. They're not. I mean, depending on how Saturday goes, they might be flirting with one of the bottom ranked tiers, Division One teams in the FBS. So, we'll see going forward. And then the line actually just got moved back to 6.5. So apparently,
Okay.
some last couple minutes. So from 6 to
Mm.
Good deal. I agree with Casey. It's probably game's probably going to be pretty wide open. But I will ask another question to Noah. Did you work out in that flannel shirt? Because I really hope you said you did.
I didn't actually. It's well, today's rainy day, so it's not sun's out, guns out. But the flannel is definitely it's a comfortable shirt for right now. So I wanted to look nicer for for the pod.
Give us that real Canadian look. I like it.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
we go.
Look, who doesn't? I mean, the goatee and all, the red and black, man. It all goes together.
All right. Good stuff. I guess we can just go ahead and do this. I mean, just let's go ahead and give our predictions. Tyler, I will start with you on this. Give your predictions, what you think's going to happen, everything.
I love this rivalry so much. I grew up Western guy. I've been to many games, both at Floyd Stadium and at Western too. I've seen it probably, 15 times be played, maybe more than that. But this is a fun game. Now this year, I'm not going to say it's fun because both teams are winless. Both teams aren't playing very well yet, but we'll see what happens. But that's the fun of college football. You don't know what to expect. I think Western wins this game. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I think they'll be a much better team in all aspects this week, especially against a team like Middle that's struggling so bad. I think, like Casey said, it might be a little ugly first quarter starting out with, and I think things will get better from there. I think the offense improves. I think Tyrell has a good game. I think Gage Walker gets going. I think the defense steps up. I'm going big this week. I think Western Kentucky will beat MTSU. Let's go. I can't do too many points yet. Just I haven't seen too much. 30, 35. 35-10. I'm going a big win. I don't think Middle can.
Wow.
I don't see Middle do anything against that defense. I think Asher will struggle, and I think this is a game where Western gets that big win, gets some confidence going, and I think it carries over throughout the rest of the year. This is the big win.
That was some very super dramatic pause after the 35, and I was. Casey, same question to you. Give us your prediction. What you think will happen in this game?
Okay, so I mean, I think this is a game that ultimately could be going into halftime with a score of like 3-0, something like that. I mean, 0-0 at half, maybe even. I think both of these teams are going to come out and they know what's at stake. I think they don't want to give up anything. I think both of these offenses are still relatively raw on the season so far, so I don't think a lot of points are going to be put on the board in the first half, but I think there's going to be an uptick in the second half. I expect these two quarterbacks that can, dual threat abilities. I think they're going to go head to head and try to make all the plays that they can themselves. I think ultimately in the second half, though, WKU is going to get together. I expect Gage Walker to have a big game personally. I expect him to put his first 100-yard performance up, have a career kind of day for WKU. I think he's going to try to put this team on his back. I think in this one, I'm going to go 23-19 WKU, just to kind of throw an odd score out there. I don't think there's any way Tyson Helton lets this squad lose this game. We discussed it a little bit over the last week. I really think that Tyson Helton is a great coach under adversity, and this is quite the adversity, going into the 100 Miles of Hate matchup, 0-2, MTSU's 0-3, can't lose that game. There's no way we can lose this game, and I don't think there's any way we do lose this game. So I hate to pick WKU again, as I have done every week so far, but I just don't see them losing this game. Give me 23-19 WKU.
Good. Casey, you did a good job. I wrote this down. You threw out the stat of you think Gage is going to rush for over 100 yards. So I'm going to stick to you with that. I like the odds.
Oh, yeah.
I like giving out odd scores. Tyler, I'll go back to you. Do you have any, along with your very dramatic prediction, do you have a crazy stat or something like that you think will happen? Like Casey said, he thinks Gage will rush for over 100. I mean, you got anything similar in that regard to throw out a prediction on?
I think Tyrell Pigram will throw for over 250 yards. Give me about 250 with probably – I'll give him 3 scores. I'll give him 3 scores, and I think Gage will score a couple times as well.
All right, sounds good. I just wanted to give you a chance to throw in your 2 cents there on some stats. Noah, we'll send it to you, man. I know you probably think Middle's going to probably score 0 points, but just give us a score breakdown of what you think the score is going to be. Maybe throw out some crazy stats, any other things you got on your mind in terms of predicting a score and the outcome of the game and everything.
I think so. I don't know if I would say that I think talent wise, this maybe outside of Troy, this is probably the best defense that Middle's played. Uh, the one thing I think Western's got to do early is rattle O'Hara because he's sort of like a one read guy. Then he's going to tuck it and try to make a play with his legs. So I think the pass rush gets after him early. Middle's actually not giving up a lot of sacks this year. Just I think 5 or 6 on the season. So I think that I can see that number being 5 or 6 for Western on Saturday. With D'Angelo and Juwan coming off the edges. I can really see a really good day from the front 7 coming up, just in terms of fitting the run and doing a really good job of shutting them down. So I'm going to go with 33-10 Western right now. I think Middle scores somewhere early, maybe tacks on a field goal late in the second half. But like Casey said, I expect Gage Walker. This is going to be the game that gets Gage Walker going. I don't see any way with how Middle struggled defending the run. I believe they've given up almost 700 yards through 3 games from the last 3 times they've been out playing. I think this is the day where Gage Walker hits the century mark, probably goes above it. And then Pigram, I can see Pigram sort of having the same type of game he had against Liberty, hovering around 200 yards, maybe about 50 to 60 yards rushing. So I think overall solid day for Western in all facets. Just to finally get a rivalry win and then get the first win under the belt to maybe start a potential win streak going forward as they head on into deeper conference play.
All right, sounds good. I'll throw it back around the horn real quick. I don't know if anybody's got anything else to add, but if you do, I'll give you a chance to. We'll start with Casey.
I mean, all I really got to say is I don't think there's going to be any chance that Davis Shanley gets in there. Just going to throw that out there for anybody who might be watching this. That person might be watching this podcast too, but I don't think he's going to get put in the near future. So we'll go with Tyrell Pigram's going to stick in there the rest of the season, I think. But yeah, I think our QB is pretty much locked up.
Okay, Casey. Thanks a lot, man. Kind of a weird thing to throw in there. I don't know where you got that from.
I don't know either. Just a hunch.
Tyler, you're next. What if Tyrell gets injured? I mean,
yeah, that's different, But we, our good friend, whoever that person may be, start Davis Shanley. It's raining outside. Start Davis Shanley. My car won't start today. Start Davis Shanley. Anything. But you know what? For me, let's see. I hope I get to beat the game in person. We'll see. Now, they have like 2 media members, and one that I know very well is going to a wedding in Indiana. So he won't even be there. So I'm sure I'll have a seat somewhere in that place. So fingers crossed for that.
Yeah. Right. This Zoomcast is going way off the rails. I shouldn't ask the last question.
That's all I got, though.
If you can't make it to the game, just let me know. We'll see if an Uber ride's in the budget. All right.
Okay.
All right, Noah, please, I don't know, do something to save the Zoomcast. It's really going off the rails here at the end.
Oh man, I don't know what to say in terms of the game. I do know that I will be. There will be a film breakdown coming this week on MTSU. I'm going to watch it and pull out the positives, the schematics, and whatnot. So that'll be fun stuff this week. It'll be really interesting. I'm very excited to go back and watch parts of the Army game in particular and seeing how where they failed in terms of defending the run and how Western can attack that and exploit those weaknesses. So that'll be coming this week. The COSA weekend recap's coming out within probably like 30 minutes. I have one more game to type up, and then it'll be there. Really excited. Overall, as I talked about before the Zoomcast, really exciting weekend of college football coming up. Obviously, with the SEC back in session, there's a whole different feel now on Saturdays. It's a whole lot different in terms of the nightcap being Georgia Auburn in comparison to being like Miami and Florida State. Really, really fun one there last weekend, right?
Right. I'll make a suggestion, Noah, when you do these film breakdowns, because you do them on video and do it in the sleeveless flannel.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Oh, I think I'll stick to typing it up and just word vomiting what I'm seeing here and as I'm jotting down in my notes instead. But I appreciate the offer though.
I just thought I'd throw it out there. Just a
It,
little
it was
extra
sincere.
spice.
It was very sincere. And I guess looking forward to this weekend. FAU hopefully gets to kick off their first game of the season. Them and Rice are one of the only two, and obviously Old Dominion, but that's a different story. They're the only squads we haven't seen play yet, at least to my memory. So it'll be interesting to see what FAU's got. Hopefully they get to kick off this weekend, since they are one of the favorites in the COSA. So want to see what they have in terms of how they're stacking up against Marshall, UAB, and obviously the other top dog UTSA.
The wait for the Willie Taggart era in FAU continues. So, of course, Noah said he's going to do a film breakdown. He's going to have Conference USA recap. Casey, you're going to, have Hilltoppers in the NFL recap. What's your player feature going to be this week? Do you know yet?
I'm thinking, since I said that Gage Walker's going to have such a big game, I'm thinking Gage Walker for this week. So I think to expect a player feature from Gage Walker would be fair. And then, like Sean said, the Pro Topper update, some pretty big splashes this weekend in the NFL. So, yeah, Pro Topper update, Gage Walker feature. Expect that from me.
All right. Tyler, tell us what you got on deck this week.
See, if you want to, go check out the Game Week Notebook. It's up. Got a note from Coach Helton's press conference today. Beat writer Q&A is coming Thursday morning with Joe Spears of the Daily News Journal in Murfreesboro. Great guy, good buddy of mine. He'll be all on there. I'll probably throw on a couple other things. I'll hop on the calls this week too and take some more notes from those what do you call them, media availabilities with Coach White and Coach Ellis and players. And then of course game coverage on Saturday. All your stuff. I'll hopefully be there. So I'll have you a pregame video, postgame, have you a story, all that fun stuff. So should be a fun week.
They call them press conferences, Tyler.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's what it is. It's Monday.
All right. We appreciate it. Noah, Tyler, Casey, thanks a lot. Thanks again for all you guys do on the site. You can check all their work out at InsideHilltoppersports.com. And for me, Sean Williams, we are signing off again this week. We'll be back next week to recap the Middle Tennessee game and all around the Conference USA.
Marshall weekend next week.
Preview Marshall.
All right.